All right, good morning. I'm Dustin Seaton, the Gifted and Talented Specialist at the Northwest Arkansas Education Service Cooperative. And we're with Carly.
Hi, I'm Carly Janolis. I'm the Science Specialist at the Northwest Arkansas Co-op.
And the Northwest Arkansas Education Co-op, we serve all the public school districts in Benton, Madison, and Washington County, which many of y'all are in hopefully right now, throughout Northwest Arkansas. We are located in Farmington, and we welcome to the 10 o'clock hour of our Real World Wednesday Guest Speaker Series as part of STEAM Week. We hope that you will utilize the chat or the Q&A box feature at the bottom of your screen so you can interact with today's speaker and make connections with what you're learning in the classroom to how it relates to the real world and careers and professions that individuals have. There's no need to worry about muting or unmuting or fixing your video. We're utilizing the Zoom webinar feature, so you are fine just being you from wherever you are. So I would encourage you to sit back and relax and enjoy today's guest speaker. And we are joined this hour with Vince Sayarath. Mr. Sayarath is a thermal product engineer at EaglePicher Technologies in Joplin, Missouri. He graduated from Southside High School in Fort Smith in 2015 and went on to major in chemical engineering at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville before graduating from the College of Engineering in the spring of 2019. He is our youngest presenter, so he hopefully can tell us some stories that more of the Generation Z or whatever we call it today with our students can relate with. But please join me in welcoming Mr. Vince Sayarath. Thank you, Vince.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So this is STEAM Week at the Co-op. We have a lot of attendees and students that are really excited about engineering. I know that's it's part of this. It's the E, literally the E of STEAM education. What first got you interested in going into engineering as a profession?
Well, ever since I was little, I was always interested in like Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Edison, like all the inventors, how they made something with their hands that would benefit society, which is why I always got interested. Like I always wanted to make something when I was little, and that's why I wanted to become an engineer, so I can make something that will benefit someone's life one day.
So what kind of things were you looking at, like wanting to benefit? Like you say, you want to benefit someone's life. Was there anything in particular that kind of led you into maybe the path of thermal product engineering?
Yeah, well, my company, EaglePicher, we have 3 different departments. We have the space department, the medical department, and the defense department. Right now, I work in the defense department where we get to make like missiles or like ejection seats or anything defense related to help our soldiers come back alive, which I really appreciate. Since today is also Veterans Day, we have this huge party here, so to celebrate everyone, because people who work here, a lot of them, majority of them are veterans.
Yeah.
So that's the U.S. Defense Department. So you're talking about the military. Y'all are making bombs or ejection seats for airplanes and aircrafts?
Yes, we do that, and we also make missiles for drones, and then for like missiles for a thing called a sonoview is where for submarines where they shoot out an explosive to see where all the enemy ships are at and whatnot. Anything, because EaglePicher's market share in thermal products, which is all in missiles, is 80%. So like any type of missile you think, EaglePicher is probably part of it.
Whoa. We had a question. So like heat-seeking missiles, would that be a part of it?
Oh, yes. I'm working, one of my batteries is the Hellfire missile, which when it shoots out, it's a laser guided missile, which it can correct its course up to 8 times from when it's first shot.
That's incredible and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
So I want to jump into another question we had from a attendee. What are thermal products other than missiles? You mentioned there's medical thermal products, and there was another branch you said.
There's space. Well, thermal product. Mine. Here, example. My battery. This little battery It's like not like the battery you have in your cell phone. It's a primary battery, which it only needs to be fired once because, you know, in a missile, it only needs to be fired once. So there's a chemical reaction in here where it uses all the heat from that chemical reaction to produce heat, which converts that heat into electricity. So that's the difference between a thermal product versus we have other batteries which are rechargeable, just like our phones, which you wouldn't want your phone battery to heat up and it'll just explode at that point.
So another question we have, what do you do with the products that you make? Do you even, do you make all the products there, like all the bombs and so forth at EaglePichers, or is it just those small pieces that y'all send to other places?
So at EaglePicher, all we do is first the customer comes to us with questions like specifications that they want, and then we'll provide them with what they actually want because they don't really know what they want at first. And so all we do is get all our parts. We press all the pills, which in this battery, there's like tons of tiny little pills that are pressed together. Like there's a heat pill, there's an anode, cathode, electrolyte, all parts to the battery on these literally super tiny pills. And then we just send them the battery. So everything that is for the battery is made here, and then we ship it out to our customer.
That's cool.
That's very cool. You have a lot of Q&A blowing up over here, Vince. People are very into what you are doing.
Go ahead, Carly.
Well, I was just looking at the chat. So looking at smaller, do you guys make bombs, smaller bombs or bigger bombs? The question.
Oh yeah, so this is for like one of our really tiny ones, and then we have this one is a 22-pound battery, which it goes in our Patriot missile. There's 8 different modules inside, so 8 different batteries, and then there's one starter battery over here, and this goes into the Patriot one. And then we also have this smaller one, which it goes into the ejection seat of like for I forgot what aircraft it goes in, but like you just pull this and then it activates the ejection seat.
That's cool.
It's very exciting.
So let's ask the question then. Ultimately, when you graduated high school, did you want to go into the engineering field immediately, or was it kind of like, were you guided in that direction from a teacher or from a mentor and some adult of some sort?
So from my high school teacher, my chemistry teacher, who was my favorite teacher in high school, which got me interested in the chemistry field. That's why I knew something I want to do in chemistry. And engineering naturally is where you want to build stuff. If you just do chemistry, it's mainly just analyzing chemicals and just you're making a recipe, you're making cookies and stuff. But with engineering, you get to build stuff on top of that chemistry. And what I like about chemical engineering is how broad it is. You can work in almost any industry you want. You can do medical, you can work in food, work in defense. And if you want to become a doctor too, you can start with chemical engineering, and you only have to take 2 or 3 more classes if you change your mind during the course of your chemical engineering degree if you want to become a doctor as well.
So Vince, what do you think, just kind of looking at STEAM in general? I mean, you've talked a lot about like with chemical engineering, just the broad range that you have just in that field alone. And so there were some questions in the Q&A and then in the chat, but just looking at like maybe the connection with math. How does math, and maybe what kids are doing now in middle school and junior high, how does that math play into your field or in chemical engineering?
Oh, okay. So math is very important in my field. Like, honestly, in chemical engineering, it says it's chemical engineering, but you do like probably like 10% chemistry. The rest is all math. Where at the point where as much math classes you can take right now will be better, because I had to take up to Cal 3, and then I took Cal 1 and Cal 2 in high school, so it got me a jump start into college where I wouldn't have to pay for that. And then you would have to take differential equations and linear algebra, and just like you take so much math where if you take one more math class, you would get a math minor for a chemical engineer. That's how much math you would have to take. And I would also recommend taking physics, because I didn't take physics in high school, but in chemical engineering degree, it's literally all physics. After that chemistry, the rest from sophomore year to senior year, just all physics.
Were you interested in math in high school, or more interested in the sciences, like the chemistry side of things, like you said?
Oh, I was definitely more interested in the science stuff, because you actually get to see like cool experiments and whatnot. But what I guess they don't show you in high school is like when I was doing the physics lab, how you use that type of math to model your predictions and everything. And it's crazy how close these guys were to predicting things without even like doing the experiment yet. Because right now, I know in math, we have more theorems that we don't know what to do it with. Like we just have theorems that we just know it works out. And then once we do experiments, we apply those theorems to those experiments, so we can then model a much better idea of how it's going to work out.
So when you went to college, did you, when they introduce engineering as a major, because I know there's thermal, there's bio, there's chemical, there's mechanical. You went the chemical route. Did you know that this was the trajectory of where you would go in your career, or were you kind of like shepherd it through the graduation process? Like, how did you know that you were going to like a thermal engineering job to make bombs at EaglePicher?
Oh, well, I didn't know at first when I was graduating. I just knew when with a chemical engineer degree, I could probably work in any field as possible. But chemical engineers do generally go towards the defense side of everything, because my mentor, he worked with bombs, and my counselor, he also worked in the defense industry as well.
There's obviously a lot of excitement about the bomb making from our attendees.
Yeah.
Anderson has asked, how many bombs does EaglePicher, or do you make a month or a year? Do you have an estimate? Do you have like a chart at your office that shows the number of products, especially bombs, that y'all make?
Well, I just know from one of mine, like batteries, this year, we've already made, like, let's see, probably about 6,000 of just one of our batteries, which is a lot of bombs already. But every year, I am not too sure, but like, I'm not too sure how much, but like definitely thousands of bombs are made each year.
Well, one of the stories I heard you say prior to this, you said that when COVID hit, you got a letter from the U.S. Department of Defense as an essential worker because you're making materials for the military. Can you tell us about that? Like, what made you an essential worker? What did that letter say, and what did that permit you to do should you get like pulled over by a cop or something?
Okay, so basically our CEO, like once the Corona started hitting, our CEO emailed out a letter telling us that we're all essential workers based on some law. I forgot what law it was. And if we were to get stopped by any police officers, we would present them with this letter telling them that we work for the defense industry and that we have to go to work because we are an essential worker.
So if you got pulled over by the cops on your way to work, that you would show them the letter?
Yes. Yeah. I still keep that letter in my car just in case.
Smart. So Vince, what all, I mean, I know just, it sounds like everything you do is an artwork.
Mhm.
So as far as your job in thermal product engineering, I know we've had a question on our Q&A in the chat about, do you guys make anything else other than defense materials? Do you make things like a gun or any other kind of weapon, or just an oven or anything other than the battery or the bomb stuff?
No, we only make the batteries here. We just specialize in that. But for our space department, which was pretty cool, they sent the Mars rover over here a few months ago, and we got to see that and see our batteries get attached into it. And then in February, we're going to have a watch party of when the Mars rover lands on Mars here. And it's really exciting because you got to see it, and like we could actually touch it. Of course, like they're going to clean it afterwards, but it's very exciting to see something that's going to be in space.
Yeah.
But we do have a big history with NASA, because our batteries were also the batteries that help us on Apollo 11 to help us get to the moon and all following Apollo missions.
So,
And then we also make, oh, did we say something?
well, I was gonna say, so they actually brought the actual Land Rover to your job site,
Yeah.
and y'all got to touch it before they sent it up to space?
I mean, like, we got to touch it, but of course they're going to send it to other next assemblies because it wasn't fully completed yet. It was the orange part where, like, you know, where the solar, what's it called? The solar panels, yeah. And I didn't have all the parts attached to it yet, but we got to see where our batteries are going to get put in and stuff.
So you said y'all are gonna have a watch party when it is launched, or is when it lands? Is that what you said?
When it lands, that's what my boss is hoping. He's hoping it's not at like 2 a.m. or something, but we know it's gonna be in February, so be exciting to watch our stuff land on Mars.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that's something to be proud of, not only for our country and for humanity, but just the part that you played a small role in helping us in space exploration. And I think that's a really cool thing.
It is awesome.
We had another question from an attendee. Titus asked, how many projects do you guys think you've worked on with NASA in all?
Good answer.
Ooh, in all.
Or maybe even what percentage of what y'all do at EaglePicher's technology is more defense versus more space or more medical? Like you said, those are the three branches, but what percentage you think y'all do spend more time on?
Our defense probably makes up 60 to like 70% of our revenue. So it's a huge portion because the government is willing to spend more money on defense than any other department for us right now. And it'll be defense, and then it'll be space, and then medical. Our medical is our newest department, so it's the smallest department right now in terms of customer service.
That is exciting. I guess, what's a typical day in your job look like? So for anybody that might be interested in going to the engineering profession, what's a typical day for you?
Okay, a typical day for me. So I come in and then check some of my emails, and then my office is on the second floor of our factory. So then I'll go down to the first floor to our production floor and make sure everything's working well, because I'm responsible for 16 different batteries. So if anything goes wrong with any of those batteries, I am responsible for it. I have to make sure they're all working fine and smoothly. And then on top of those 16 batteries, I have developmental batteries, which are the cool new things we're gonna make, which I'm working on this one developmental battery right now, and it's a anti-missile battery. So if a missile were to get shot at us, how quick can we intercept that missile? And so the customer will come with their requirements, tell us what they want, and then what always happens is they never really, when they tell us what they want, they never really know what they want. And then we come back and say, hey, this is what you really want, you know, like right here. And then we'll order parts in, and then I get to build different types of prototypes, make sure all the batteries are working and whatnot. And I have a video, let me see if I can share this video of like one of our prototypes where it didn't go so well. It's like, let's see, share. All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So this is for our safety testing to make sure everything works well and whatnot. Like push our batteries to the extreme. And then right here, you can see the smoke coming out of the battery. The pressure is building up in the battery. And then you
So
see.
this is on site.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you see that explode. So like you can obviously tell that didn't go as well as it usually does, but it's cool. We have to test all these batteries to make sure they're all working well, so that doesn't happen in the field.
I mean, lives are at stake. Yeah. I mean, it's.
Yeah, that's intense. I mean, if I do something wrong, someone just cries, but
Yeah.
bigger deal. So Vince, what do you think is the most, I mean, obviously the intensity of just how crucial every step of your job is. I mean, that seems intense.
Yeah.
But what would you say is the most challenging part of your job? And then follow it up with that. What do you think is the most rewarding part of your job?
The most challenging part of my job is probably just dealing with the customers and then making sure everything they want is like what in my battery. Because sometimes I might miss some things, like they might write in some tiny detail. So I have to be very detail oriented to make sure all the requirements they want are in the battery. And then I would also have to follow all the government requirements too, to make sure we're following every single thing, which is why some of these batteries will take multiple years just to develop, because we'll just, along the way, we'll find out we're not compliant with this or we're not compliant with that. And what's very rewarding, I guess, is when it's all complete and done, you can say like, wow, this is what we started from, where it would mess up every like 5 seconds or what, into like something that was, we now mass produce is in like 50,000 different missiles or whatnot.
Yeah. Well, and that's such a skill in itself of perseverance. I mean, it's so too often the first time we try something, it's not going to work. And then having to kind of problem solve and keep improving and making it better and making it stronger. So I love that. And I also wanted to ask, just because you said it a couple of times, like just that customers will ask for something and it's usually they don't know what they're asking for. And you kind of have to guide them. So what role do you think customer service plays maybe in your job, or being able to talk to people, and just those communication skills with your clients? Because you can't just say, no, you have no clue what you're talking about. Right?
Yeah, you obviously can't say that. Well, communication skills is very crucial, because on a daily basis, I'll have meetings with customers, call them on the phone, and then I'll make a presentation of like what I think would work. And then they'll send back their feedback and like, you should change this, this, this. And then I look at the changes that they want, and then I'll make comments on saying, well, that wouldn't work because of this, or this wouldn't work because of that. So it's very crucial for me to have good communication skills, because I am all the technical support for our customers versus like everybody else, where our PMs, they do like the money in, our quality to make sure everything's right. I am all the technical side for the batteries.
Nice.
We had a good question in the chat. Where did the name EaglePicher Technologies come from?
Okay, so EaglePicher Technologies first started as a mining company in Missouri. So we would make we would just mine with a lead mining company for the military. It was mainly mined all the ores for World War II. And then after World War II, is when, I guess, yeah, that's where we got the name was Eagle, which is because it was for the military. All the stuff we were mining was for the military. Then we transitioned in the 40s or 50s to thermal batteries for all the missiles that happened afterwards. And I think Pitcher was one of the founders' names, but I'm not too sure.
There's another question, which was actually a question I kind of had earlier too, but it said, it was from Titus, and it said, who are your most consistent customers for your products? Because I'm assuming not anyone can just order something like that.
Yeah. So my most consistent customers would probably be Boeing, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and Honeywell, Sandia, which Sandia is they do all of our nuclear stuff, all nuclear defense stuff. And then Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, Boeing, they all have their own type of missiles, those three companies where they compete against each other for the government. So we provide them all with our batteries.
So these are all companies working for our government
Yes.
for defense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any products that y'all make that we would see in stores like Walmart or Target, or that we would interact with in our daily life?
No, I don't think there would be, honestly, any product.
We had a question from James in the chat. If something were to go wrong, do you have any directions of what you do to stay safe? Like, for example, in that bunker, assuming that bunker is a compound surrounded by cement, but if something were to go worse, is that like an offsite location that's protecting all the employees? Or do y'all have one of those charts at your work, like X number of days with no major?
Oh yeah, we do have one of those charts that says how many days without an accident. But any type of those testing are usually in a bunker, which most of those bunkers are underground in cement walls because it was a mining facility. So some of these are for those mines, which are really deep underground. And then we always have a camera in there to make sure, recording, to make sure everything goes all right before we enter the room again.
Anderson asked, have you ever considered quitting your job? So, I mean, just thinking of maybe challenges that come, I think probably every working adult has considered that at one point, depending on your day, but just, is it something you love and are passionate about, or are there tough days?
And to piggyback off that, what's the turnover rate for an engineer?
Yeah.
The turnover rate here is very low because I'm the youngest person in this office, and the next older person is in like their mid 30s and 40s, and people here usually stay here for a long time. There's multiple people here who are who's been working here for 40, 30 years. And of course, I definitely, on difficult days, there's definitely days where I do think about quitting, but then I would think about how great of a job it is, how much flexibility I have. If I wanted to, I could just leave the office and go do something and then come back as long as I make my hours. I could come in at 3 in the morning if I wanted to, and then just do my 8 hours and then leave early. And that's what I like about it, the flexibility of when to come in and when to leave. And I also get every other Friday off. So do 5 days on, 4 days off, or 5 days and then 4 days.
So
yeah, keep it.
Yeah, but granted, there are kids graduating all the time with engineering degrees, so I'm sure those jobs are pretty competitive too. What advice would you give to students that are looking to beef up their resume or make themselves more attractive to a company like EaglePicher if they are interested in going into something similar to what you do?
Mm-hmm. My recommendation is do as many internships or co-ops as possible as you can, or do as much research underneath a professor when you're in college, like ask them what type of research they're doing and see if you're interested in that. Because when I went to school, I had a really nice professor, Dr. Roper, and he worked in the nanotechnologies facility, which it was really cool research I got to do under him. He was tattooing nanoparticles onto leaves, like leaves of plants, to measure how much light would hit the leaves to predict how much sugar they're producing through photosynthesis and stuff like that. Like each professor during college has their own type of research, and I really liked his research. And if you really like something, you generally do it a lot better.
And I remember you talked about there are some competitions or activities that y'all did as students at the university where you were involved in like national competitions with other university students. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for my senior design project, I got to go to New Mexico for a project against everyone in the nation. It was the work competition, WERC. And the task we were handed was to purify water using freeze crystallization, so you get a salt mixture of water, and then if you put it at a certain temperature, the water will freeze and then the salt will like fall out and resulting in just pure water. So for my group, we did reverse osmosis and 5-effect evaporation in combination with freeze crystallization to get the purest water. And we ended up winning that competition.
I'm sure that helps you get your job at EaglePicher too then.
Oh yeah, of course. Because when they ask you questions about like working with teams and like stuff during the interview, I was able to pull from that design competition because I was able to work in a group. And there was a technical side and then the quality work and then how I would coordinate with my team members, which honestly, when you go to work, it's all about the team, like how well you can work with a team with each other. That's what employers are looking for, because they don't want someone who just be in the corner and just like not talk to anybody and just be there. But just how well you work in a team, that's probably the best advice I could give you. Like do as many projects you can with other people so you can get used to working with different types of people, like even people that you might not like, because you won't like everybody you work with, and how well you'll be able to work with that. And in the long run, once you learn that, you'll do a much better job and you probably find a much better place to be employed at.
I love that advice, because we also just heard that same great advice from our first interviewee as well. Just the importance of being able to work in a team and work with others, whether you like them or you don't. It just builds so much strength in ourselves to be able to rely on others too and learn from them.
Yeah.
And then Anderson had a question, just wondering if the USA has ever given you or EaglePicher a medal or a reward of some sort.
Okay, so EaglePicher, we got these cool medals for how long we powered the satellites in space for. It's like, let's see, it's on our website, but like I got a cool medal when we got to like 50 million hours of powering satellites in space.
So what was that for? Like, I mean, just from your work with space?
Oh yeah, for my work, and they would give it to all the employees, and it was a cool little gold medallion where it tells you for how EaglePicher has powered this many hours in space.
That's amazing.
So we've had a lot of interest in like what the future of engineering looks like. As a young engineer, where do you see the next big breakthrough going? You mentioned nanotechnology and nanobots. Where do you see the next big breakthrough in terms of engineering for students to start looking out for and exploring?
the next big thing I always feel like, well, you probably need to learn more about different coding languages, which I think that's the next big thing. Well, it's big right now, but it'll be more relevant later in life, because right now in my company, we're training more towards all automation. So we're doing, these batteries used to be built by hand. So now we're like training robots. So all the engineers are getting trained to learn how to code different languages right now to build these batteries. We have a plant in Pittsburgh, Kansas, where it's really, all of it is automated, where nothing is built by hand anymore.
So you see basically the future of it being nanotechnology, or I'm sorry, automation and coding. So you'd encourage our kids to do computer science and things like that.
Oh yeah, I would highly recommend to learn coding, like any type of language you can. It would beef up your resume. And honestly, I can, like in the next like 10 years, I don't see any other I see all companies probably requiring knowledge of coding.
That's good, because in Arkansas we have the computer science initiative in every school and every district. We have the computer science coding standards, and at the co-op we have a computer science specialist, Mr. John Hart. So I'll put his email in the chat. So if any of y'all have questions about computer science locally in Northwest Arkansas, you can communicate with him.
Yeah, that would be great.
So
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, how's COVID affected your job, Vince? You know, we are all, as students, we're wearing masks, we're monitoring and minimizing our classrooms. What are you doing at EaglePicher Technologies as a thermal product engineer in the age of COVID?
Well, this happened just pretty recently yesterday there. We had to shut down our medical facility because there was too many active cases over there. And so what we're doing is restricting all of our travel to all our different facilities in the area, unless it's mission critical. We have to wear like a mask now or a face shield. And then all of our meetings are through WebEx right now. So we can't all be in a room together. And when we get stuff shipped to us, we have to wait a certain amount of days before we can even open the package to handle it.
Vince, do you know any other different languages?
Like, just like, what kind of
That was a question from Anderson.
Oh yeah, I know English and I know Vietnamese.
And the coding language.
Yeah, I know Java, Python, C++. I just know those 3 languages.
Awesome.
So do you have any fun stories in STEAM that you would like to share in your profession, either as a student at the University of Arkansas, going through the School of Engineering, or at EaglePicher Technology as an engineer and a professional?
Oh, my fun stories. So when we were working when I was doing the work competition in New Mexico, we had to bring all of our experimenting stuff to New Mexico to show in front of the judges that the way we design our experiment, it would work. So during what made it fun was when we did reverse osmosis, we broke one of our pipes that was connected to the machine. And so we had to go run and get one of those pipes. And then we ran our tests and we had to get a certain amount in a vial to show how pure our water was. And then right after we got that certain amount, that pipe bursted again and it went everywhere, like in the competition, which it was kind of like exciting because we got barely just the right amount to be able to submit to the judges.
Awesome.
Well, we're coming up at the end of our time, and I know we have a lot of students virtually with us, but we also have a lot of teachers that are broadcasting this in their classroom or in their schools. And we'll wait to see if there are any other last minute or lingering questions. Do you have anything, words of wisdom that you'd like to share with students that are interested in going into the engineering profession or just a STEAM profession in general?
Let's see. My best advice would probably be is the STEAM field. Like my chemical engineering degree, it was not easy, and you definitely have to persevere through it. Like you have to go talk to your professor. Like there was one class with my heat and mass transfer where every single day I would go and see his office hours. It was the most difficult class I ever had, and you have to just work at it. And what I learned is the more effort you put into something, the greater chance you are at succeeding it, which that's all it really takes. It doesn't matter if you're like smart or like just dumb, just the more effort you put in, the more likely you are to succeed.
That's great advice. Thank you.
That is good advice. And then it looks like we have maybe one last question from Anderson. Do you have any other hobbies or other things that you do?
Ooh, my hobbies. Okay, so I love to go hiking, like rock climbing, and let's see, one more. Oh, and I love to do disc golf. Disc golf, so much fun.
I'm terrible at it, but I also do like that.
Oh yeah, oh man, it's fun. I'm bad at it, but as long as I go outside, just like being outside always makes me happier.
Yes, agreed. Oh.
Well, Vince, thank you for joining us today. On behalf of all the students and the teachers in Northwest Arkansas, thank you for taking time out of your busy day at work and sharing with what you do and your passion and your love and obviously your hobbies too. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks,
All right.
Vince.
All right.